Hey guys, welcome to Rough Stuff Podcast number 8. I'm Garrett, Rough Stuff CEO. I've got our CFO, Mallory, here with me, and Morgan from our sales department, and he's also the head of our sponsorship program. Hey guys.
Good morning.
Hi.
And we're really excited today because our guest is Adrienne Janik from Overhaulin. Hey Adrienne, how are you doing?
Hello. I'm doing good.
And where are you this morning?
I'm in Los Angeles.
L.A.
Yes.
I was just watching a car chase down there. It's apparently going on right now.
Oh, yeah. The weekly car chases in LA. I mean, it gets to the point where it's like sometimes I watch because I want to see how it ends, and if the cops are able, to do a pit maneuver or they throw in the spike strip. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, this one was pretty boring. It was like he was just trying to blend into normal traffic on the 405 or the 101 or something. It was like there's like
boring, and then
4
causes
news
more
helicopters
traffic.
too. Yeah.
What if it was a previous overhauling car and it just could haul ass?
Then my eyes would be glued.
You're like, I worked on that. It's going fast for a reason.
That would be great.
Yes, exactly.
It'd stick out a little bit though.
It's awesome.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about where you're from and how did you start your career?
Oh gosh, well, I'm a Southern California girl. I grew up in a city called Whittier, right outside Los Angeles, and it's just kind of like your small suburban, city. It's best known for the Quakers and Nixon, so that's what Whittier is best known for. But I actually started my career in Hollywood. I mean, Hollywood was just a 20-minute drive away, but yet it seemed so far away because I was in the suburbs. And I basically got discovered in the supermarket by a modeling scout. And it was just kind of crazy how it happened because I was actually ready to join the Air Force. And this modeling scout came in and said, hey, you should really model. There's a local modeling contest and, you should really give it a shot. And, modeling really wasn't on the radar, but I thought, hey, okay, why not? I'll go check it out. And I brought my dad. Just to make sure, I had an adult with me because I was still a teenager. And I ended up getting like third place and a couple of $100. And I thought, wow, this is a lot of money. So I kind of did this local modeling contest, the circuit, until finally they said, you should really go to Los Angeles and see if you could get signed with an agency. And I was really intimidated because to me that was like the big time. I mean, this was Los Angeles and Hollywood. And I tried. I actually went to meet with several agents, and one of them ended up signing me. And my military career never happened, but the modeling did, and here I am now.
So you said you were a teenager. How old were you when you were scouted at the supermarket?
17.
17.
And I was going to turn 18 in July, so I had already been talking to the Air Force recruiter. I know it was during career day. So between when school ended and by the time I was 18, that's when the modeling scout saw me. So when the Air Force recruiter called me, he's like, hey, okay, it's time to come in, sign the papers. I said, kind of a change of plans. I think I'm going to model instead. I'm going to try that out first, but if it doesn't work, can I still join the military? I said, absolutely. You have my number. Call me if anything changes. And over 20 years later, I still had this crazy career in this industry. I thought I would do it for maybe 2 or 3 years and then figure it out. But it's, this industry's been good to me, so I have no complaints.
So what was the transition from modeling to acting?
I started doing television commercials, and basically the turning point for me in modeling, I remember I was doing this job, and the client was just so mean. I was talking to the photographer, having conversation, and she basically shushed me and said, models don't talk. You have to just stand there and be pretty.
Oh, my gosh.
And she was so mean and rude about it. And I thought, well, I like to talk, but okay. So I thought, you know what? I need to figure this out because I love what I do, but I don't like to be shushed.
Yeah.
So that's when I started taking acting classes and commercial classes, and I made my transition I started doing commercials, and my big break in commercials was the Fanta commercial.
We were going to ask you about that.
How long did you do that for?
I was a Fanta girl for 4 years. I ended up getting a 4-year contract with Coca-Cola, and that really just kind of took me to the next level of modeling and commercials, because now it was everywhere. I mean, you either liked us or you hated us because that jingle just stuck in your head.
Totally.
And, we were on the billboards and movie theater, the movie theater commercial before the movie started, radio commercials, the TV commercials. I mean, it was such a big campaign. And I almost walked out of that audition because my agent told me, okay, you have this audition for this Fanta commercial. It's a soda. They're bringing it back. It was popular in the 50s. Just show up, and wear something colorful. So I thought, okay. But little did she kind of left out this really big part. She didn't tell me that I had to sing and dance
Right.
for the audition. And I was like, well, I don't dance. I mean, I was on the dance team in high school, but that's as much dance that I've, training that I've had. And singing, well, I mean, if I could sing, I would probably be in New York on Broadway somewhere. So that I don't sing. So I thought, oh my God, what am I going to do? I just drove, it took me an hour because of traffic into Hollywood. So, okay, whatever. I'm just going to try it and just make a fool out of myself. So when I remember when I was auditioning, I did some of my old dance moves from high school. And my singing, I don't even know what I sang, but I remember I was laughing the entire time because I just could picture myself of how ridiculous I looked in this audition. So I left thinking, okay, whatever, I'm just not even going to think about it. I can't even, it was just dumb. So 2 weeks later, I get a call from my agent saying, okay, great news. You got a callback for the Fanta commercial. And I go, really? I did? She goes, yeah. I go, you sure it was me? She goes, yeah. I said, okay, I'll go back to the callback. So I went to the callback, same thing. They had me sing and dance, and I laughed the entire time, pretty much. I was kind of, when you sing and laugh because you just feel ridiculous, and left again. And a week later, I get a callback. They're like, okay, my agent calls me and said, you have a third callback. Now, this time the Coca-Cola clients are going to be there and choreographers. And I thought, are you sure? Is this a
real.
mistake? Because I'm not understanding, because I am a horrible singer and my dancing skills, well, I can get by. So I get there and there's, maybe just a smaller group of girls. And these girls are professional dancers. They're stretching. Their legs are all up in the air, that when they stretch their legs, and they're, practicing their vocal, warm-ups. And I'm sitting there like, I do not belong here. So I remember, at the time I was like, I'm a huge Britney Spears fan. And when she would sing and dance, she always kind of whipped her head around. So I thought, okay, I'm going to Britney Spears this audition. I'm going to whip my hair around and just, do my best. And at the end, they called almost like a fourth callback on the spot, and they called out maybe a smaller handful of us, and I was one of them. And the Coca-Cola client came up. He's like, congratulations, you're a Fanta girl. And I just stood there like, are you kidding me? So it was one of those things that, one thing I learned about that audition and in this industry is you never know what people are looking for. And then I finally asked them, I was like, okay, listen, why am I a Fanta girl? I'm not a professional dancer. And clearly I cannot sing based on my audition. They said, no, you were laughing and having fun the entire time. And that's what Fanta represents, is fun. And they're like, don't worry about the singing. You're going to lip sync anyway. I thought, okay.
That's
so,
awesome.
Yeah. So me being an idiot basically got me the job.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's really awesome.
Just having fun with it.
Yeah.
So
that was honestly a fun job. Probably one of the best jobs I've had to date, because Coca-Cola was such an amazing client to work for.
Did all the Fanta girls get along?
You know what? We did, but there was at one point where, because the commercials really took off and were so popular, one of the girls' boyfriends at the time wanted to be our manager and really make us into this real pop group, kind of like the Spice Girls.
Okay.
And I was like, we're under contract with Coca-Cola, and basically they own us right now and our image and the whole Fanta. I don't think it's possible. So and it was true. I mean, the idea was nice, but I was like, I am not a pop singer. This is, I mean, I'm fine being a Fanta girl and playing this character and playing this pop character, but to do it in real life, I didn't see it working. But for the most part, we all got along. I mean, obviously you're gonna have different personalities, but for the most part, they were a great group of girls to work with.
Awesome.
That's good. So how did you get connected from your amazing career as a Fanta girl to Overhaulin? Because it's kind of a interesting transition.
Yeah, it's like, okay, here I am singing and dancing with a soda to going into a shop with a bunch of greasy parts and guys. And so basically what happened was I was also getting into acting, and I was hired to do the pranks on the show because Chris and Chip were getting, they're getting a little bit too recognized at the time, so they were starting to bring in different actors. So I did a few pranks, and it was really fun. And then the first co-host, Courtney Hansen, she had left to pursue other opportunities. So they were like, okay, we need a new co-host. Hey, AJ, can you be the new co-host? And I'm thinking, well, I don't know about cars, and I don't know. I was like, I don't think I'm the right girl for this job. And they said, no, you'll be fine. And I said, okay, let me think about it. Thought about it, and I said, okay, I'll take the job, but don't make me pretend that I know about cars, because from what I've seen, the automotive industry knows who's a fake and who's not. So if I can ask the questions that the audience at home would be asking, let's say, there's a girlfriend or the wife or even guys that want to learn about cars, let me be their voice and ask the questions that they would genuinely be asking. So I kind of took that approach. And just being in the shop with Chip and the A-Team, you can't help but catch the car bug. Like, before I didn't understand it, and all the sounds and the smells and the tools honestly really intimidated me, and I was scared. I thought, what the heck did I just get myself into? I mean, one thing is faking singing and dancing with a soda. Another thing is trying to make your way and find your place in a shop where, this is a whole different ball game. But I really wanted to learn, and I thought it was, wow, this is really cool. So not only did I want to prove to myself that I belonged there, but I also wanted to prove to the audience that, hey, yes, I come from a modeling background, but I'm willing to learn. And, let me show you, let me prove to you, what I could do. So it was, a challenge that I put on myself, and I think it paid off. I mean, I think it was one of those things that it took a while to win the audience over. Because like I said, the automotive world, they want like real car people when they watch the show. They don't want just somebody to kind of be like, hey, this is like the spokesmodel. It's, I'm not a car model. I want to have a voice in this industry and also learn at the same time. So it was definitely challenging and hard at the beginning. I mean, I'm not going to lie. There were a lot of tears, behind the scenes where I was like, what am I doing? It was overwhelming. And I was like, damn, I should have took shop class in high school or something.
Yeah.
But it was good. It really, I have the best teachers in the world. I mean, Chip is, amazing at what he does. And the A-Team could not have been nicer, and really just kind of showing me their, the tools and, just kind of my way around the shop until I was comfortable. So it's been fun.
I almost think it's more impressive that you didn't know anything and you got to where you're at, and, you're on a really successful show, than someone who maybe was doing it as a kid with their dad or whatever. It just shows how persistent you are, and also that you're able to pick up something that you didn't have experience in. So it's really impressive.
Oh, thank you. And that's what I want to, also, not only just show other women and girls or just anybody in particular. It's like, if you put your mind to something, you can do it. And I feel like I'm the perfect example. I didn't have a dad that, worked on cars or, in the shop. He comes from the aerospace industry, works with different types of engines, with airplanes and fighter jets. But it's one of those things that if you really find something and it clicks and you really want to learn something, the only person that stops you is yourself.
Yeah.
So
I think also what I see there too is you came at it with a really humble outlook on it. Like, you weren't, arrogant about it, and like, so not, just being straight up with yourself and with everyone else, saying that you don't know what's going on, just and willing to learn, was obviously super important.
Versus being you're trying to portray something that you're not. You actually are just like, hey, I'm learning, and and you probably had some really great teachers. You had all the specialists of the body guys and the paint guys and the engine tranny.
Yeah,
like, you get all the top tips.
Yeah, I'm the worst liar, so you would know. I can't lie. Like, it's so funny because one of my close friends, she tells me, she goes, "You wear your expression all over your face." So she goes, I'm just the worst liar. And to me, honesty is the best policy. And I just feel it's important to ask questions. And I've learned too that, when I've asked Chip a question or one of the A-teams a question like, hey, how does this work? They are more than happy to show you how it works or to teach you. It's, the automotive industry, I found that are probably some of the nicest, most down-to-earth people. And they want to teach you because they're proud of, what they know, and they want to pass on their knowledge. And, I've learned everything from, how to weld. I mean, I'm not the best welder, but it was, cool working with a welding, all those tools, and, how to sand down Bondo in a paint booth and priming and spraying color. And it's honestly has been such an amazing experience, and I cannot be more grateful for just this crazy ride on Overhaulin.
As far as the show has gone, because I've actually watched this show since before I could drive. Really, like, I was just Speed Channel was on. It was either that or any other ones on Velocity, or I guess now it's Velocity. But anyway, I've been a huge fan of Chip and A-Team and you guys and Chris for almost its entire run. Now, a thing that I've noticed from the older shows to the new ones is you guys don't play with the customer for a week. You guys prank him once now and don't actually, like, quote unquote, steal the car anymore. Did like law enforcement get involved with that, or is there insurance liability, or what happened with that?
Well, yeah, back in what I call the old school Overhaulin, we would prank the Mark, and we would prank him for the entire week. Mm-hmm. So during that week, we would be working on the car, and we would redo the entire car in 7 days, which is honestly unheard of in this industry. I mean, sometimes it takes a week just to prime a car. You know what I mean? So of course, we're going to give him this beautiful show car, so we've got to, prank them. But now in the new Overhaulin, we're a little older, so we need more time and more sleep.
Makes sense.
But we basically prank them at the beginning, and we mess because we still got to mess with them. I mean, it wouldn't be Overhaulin without messing with the Mark.
Of course not.
But then we reveal them. Then we reveal it to them basically at the end of the prank. But they're still kind of in the dark. They're not going to see the car until the end.
Right.
Gotcha. What about the SEMA Battle of the Builders? I know you have a role in that. Like, when did you get started with that, and what is the Battle of the Builders? Can you explain that a little bit further?
Yeah, so SEMA Battle of the Builders, I've been hosting that show for 6 years, and the past 2 years I've co-hosted with Tanner Faust, who is amazing. I mean, between Chris Jacobs and Tanner Faust, I mean, I have the best co-host in the world. But basically, SEMA Battle of the Builders is a competition show at SEMA. And basically, whichever car is at SEMA, they can enter this competition. So there's 4 categories. There's hot rod and muscle car, truck and off-roading, import, and sport compact, and the young guns. So that was 4, correct? Mm-hmm. Yes, I can count. Yeah. So we have judges for each of those categories. So a judge from hot rod and muscle car will narrow it down. Truck and off-road will narrow it down to until they have, I want to say, 40, because they get hundreds and hundreds of submissions, and every year the amount of submissions just increases. So once they announce the top 12, so now you have 4 cars from each category, 3 cars from each category. It's Friday. Bear with my brain. And I was never good at math. So now the builders of each of these 12 cars now become the judges. So the judges go away, and now the builders become the judges. And during SEMA, they pull the cars up on stage, and the builders have 10 minutes to say why their car is the best. And so the builders get to walk around the car, make their notes. So they can vote. They have to vote for who they think is the best, but they cannot vote for themselves. So I think that's what makes this show unique, because the builders are the judges, because they have an eye. They obviously have a different eye than anyone else. And it's just a great competition and an added feature, bonus feature at SEMA. And the winner is revealed at SEMA Ignited, which is then open to the public, because SEMA is basically for industry only. But we do the competition outside, so basically anybody can come see the show and the judging. And it's a really neat competition. And I always say I'm glad I'm not a judge on that show, because the caliber of cars every year just gets better and better. And I honestly love the young guns. They're actually my favorite category, because to me, they're the future of this industry. And it's really neat seeing them up on stage with other builders who they look up to. And it's just a really neat thing to see.
That's awesome. So, what other shows do you go to besides SEMA?
I was actually just at the Grand National Roadster Show, and I was there with my garage calendar. So it was really cool to be there, because I, for some reason, had not been to the Grand National Roadster Show. So to see all these beautiful cars, and I actually got a chance to walk the show a little bit this time, because SEMA, I'm there every year, but I don't get a chance to enjoy it, because I always have to be from point A to point B to point C. So I'm always working, that I don't get to enjoy SEMA the way other people do. So at Grand National Roadster Show, it was kind of refreshing to just kind of walk around and just see all these beautiful cars, and just be there with my calendar and, meet fans of the show and talk to builders. So it was a fun show. So I'm starting to do the car circuit a little bit more this year, because I haven't had a chance to in the past. So I'm excited about this year's car show circuit.
Where is that show at?
It's at the Pomona Fairplex.
Oh, cool.
And it's for 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And there's everything from, the roadsters, muscle cars, trucks. There's even vintage bikes. So it's a little something for everybody, and it's a pretty neat show.
That sounds fun.
Do you ever go to like any of the off-road shows, like the Off-Road Expo?
My son loves the Off-Road Expo, and he's gone to it with his dad. And I have not gone to the Off-Road Expo, but maybe I'll be there this year, because my son just loves it.
Yeah, it's a really, really, really neat show.
It's one of my favorites, and I just wanted to comment as far as being at a show and kind of just working. That's how KOH feels when we're down there. Is like everybody else is kind of on vacation, they're on their wheeling trip, and that's their whole week, and we're down there working and running the booth and fixing rigs and whatnot. So it's just saying, we get it.
Yeah.
Are you?
Yeah, it's different being at a show when you have to work. I mean, it's great. People think, wow, that you're so lucky you get to be there. It's like, yeah, it's great, but we don't get to enjoy it like everybody else.
Yeah, for sure. Are you familiar with the King of the Hammers up there in North LA, like Johnson Valley?
No, I'm not.
Really? Okay, yeah. That Morgan, you want to explain the King of the Hammers a little bit?
So King of Hammers is probably the biggest off-road event of the year that I can think of. I think we're pushing close to 60,000 people on the lake bed this year.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a week straight. There's Ultra 4 races. They threw the trophy trucks in there last year. So there's a bunch of different classes racing. It's basically this city emerges out of the desert in Johnson Valley, and they run power and internet and lights, and they've got a jumbotron, and it's just all centered around the racing that happens in the canyons and trails around that area. And
that sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's just a blur of a week.
Yeah.
So. And so what we do down there is, while all these racers are trying to either pass tech or they're qualifying and they're breaking stuff, we run a free repair pit. We bring down Lincoln generators. Lincoln has sponsored us, as well as rugged radios, tough stuff, and IMS metals to supply the metal. And this year we got DeWalt and Raceland Wheels and Milestar Tires on there as well. So lots of sponsors are getting attracted to that. And we're just down there doing free repairs for whether you're there spectating and you broke your own rig trying to get to the trail, or you're racing and you broke something and you need something fixed to get back into that or back into qualifying seat or something like that. So there's just like I said, lots of going on. I think we fixed 250 vehicles last year.
Yeah, it's about 250 roughly every year. And then I think like years ago we even fixed
So
like
you're busy.
Oh yeah, we're super busy. And there's only like what, 4 or 5 welders that we have down there.
Yeah, 4 welders, a couple other helpers, but yeah, it's just kind of a small crew every year.
One of the years ago we fixed a one of the security guards. They busted a hole in their oil pan. And so they came, welded that up. And then I remember we just get a bunch of funny fixes. Like I did a weld project one year where some guy did the same thing, busted his oil pan, but it was an aluminum oil pan. And so we didn't have any aluminum with us, but I had a TIG welder, and he went to like Walmart and got like an aluminum like yardstick or ruler, and we cut it up and welded the ruler on the bottom of the oil pan to get out.
Oh my God. It's almost like you have to be creative in situations like that. It's like, okay, this is the best I can do, and we got to make it work.
It's totally about creativity with like the stuff we're doing for sure. And actually everyone else down there, there's so many people, as far as like besides our pit, like a lot of other people bring down welders and do a lot of repairs, and they repair on the trail. Cause there's this race, the main race is, I don't know, like what, 200 miles or something like that?
Something like that this year.
Yeah. So it's a long race. It's all day.
Yeah.
So.
Something like that. It's almost like, I've heard so many stories from the Baja 500 and the Baja 1000 that, if you break down, you're in the middle of nowhere and you're waiting for your chase crew or something, sometimes you just have to be creative.
Yeah.
And, get the trophy truck or whatever class you're driving at. I heard the silt is like the worst thing to get stuck in.
It is.
Yeah.
And it's almost like you have to be creative to try and get your vehicle out of that. I mean, I've seen a lot of documentaries, and then there was Dust to Glory, the second part. Did you ever watch the second part
one of
that
my
movie?
favorites? Yeah, I watched part 2 in theaters. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I watched that too, and I didn't realize how much goes into this race. I mean, because I have a lot of friends that do the Baja races, and when I watched the movie theater, it had not only so much emotion, but just everything that goes into it. And I thought, wow, whole new respect. I mean, it was so well done too. I mean, I really, really enjoyed that film.
And on touching on that subject, I can't believe some of those guys do like the Ironman, where they're going to do 1,000 miles on a bike or in the truck by themselves during this race.
That is crazy.
That's just major cojones.
Yeah.
So I also understand that you own a Pontiac Firebird, and that's one of my dream cars. What year do you own?
I have a 68 Firebird,
that's the year.
I always say she is my first baby on 4 wheels. I mean, I love that car. Like I actually brought her with me to the Grand National Roadster Show. I had her in a booth, and I hadn't taken her out, to a car show in a really long time. After I had my son, real life happens. I have a child now, and, everything kind of gets pushed to the back burner. So it was really fun to have her there and kind of show her off. But I just love that car. I love Pontiac. I'm a little obsessed.
And that's the best year. That's like the one I want.
It is.
Is it a coupe or a convertible?
It's a coupe. And to me, the crown jewel of that car is the front bumper, just that chrome bumper. To me, I just love it. I mean, because the 69, it's kind of cut in half. I mean, it's shortened, where, the 68, you have this beautiful front bumper, and to me, that's like her crown. And
that is the best part of it, because they change. I don't like the 69 front ends. The 67s are similar, but a little different. But the 68, that's that one year that's just.
They got it right.
Yeah. When I was I grew up kind of at a daycare, and it's a long story. The owner's son-in-law basically built one of a 68 into the drag car in the garage, and I basically watched this thing get built when I was like 6 years old, and I was like, that's the car.
Wow.
That's like, yeah. He'd fire that up and wait in the whole neighborhood wake up.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how, you have something like that, it's ingrained in your head. Because my dad had a 68 GTO, and I have all these cool pictures of him. Well, actually, it's my mom posing in front of his car, and it's like here I am with this. There's some similarities. Like the hood is very similar with I like to call like the little nostrils on the top, and it just reminds me of my dad's GTO, which I wish he still had. I was like, Dad, why did you sell the car? He's like, well, I didn't know.
Yeah.
But it's Pontiac to me, it's like the epitome of muscle car. I just think they got it right. And my next dream car is either a 69, but more 70 GTO Judge. To me, that is like the car. So it's like I always say my car needs a boyfriend, and I think the Judge would be a perfect match.
Why is your car a girl? You keep calling her a she. What made you think that she should be a girl?
Well, my car, because I call her the diva because she's such a diva. Like, it's, just the sound when I turn on the engine and the exhaust, it just screams, get out of my way. And I was like, oh, this car is a diva. It's a she. So now she needs a boyfriend, and I think the Judge is it. I'm gonna make have a match made in heaven. I'm gonna have an arranged marriage for my car.
It. Does she have a name?
Yeah, the diva.
It's the diva. Okay, great. I love it.
Diva.
That's awesome. So we also heard on another podcast that you worked for Ford. Was that true?
Ford Models, not Ford Motor Company.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha.
We weren't sure. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I was happy because people in the automotive world, they're like, "Oh, you work for Ford Motor Company." I was like, "No, it was Ford Modeling Agency." So
totally different
same
aspects.
Last name, totally different industries.
Did you put it on your resume for Overhaul? And you're like, "Yeah, I worked for Ford." They don't ask which one.
Yeah. Exactly, right? They're like, that's probably why they're like, "Hey, you'd make a great co-host. You work for Ford."
That's awesome.
No, it's different industry.
Got it.
So used to be a host of another show called Fit, Famous, and Fabulous, and I saw you did some jiu-jitsu and some MMA and stuff. Are you still training, or can you tell me more about that?
Fit, Famous, and Fabulous honestly was another fun show. I mean, hosting wasn't on the radar. I was hoping to get more into scripted, but one opportunity comes and then another one follows. So Fit, Famous, and Fabulous was basically a show about following celebrities for a day and basically try and pick their brains to see how they stay fit, famous, and fabulous. So it was really neat because I got to hang out with, let's, for example, Josh Barnett, who's an MMA fighter. I got to go to his gym, train with him. They even had me kind of, grapple against another guy that was, my height and weight. I got to train with Kendra Wilkinson. We did an NFL workout. She's a huge football fan, and we ended up becoming like best friends. And let's see who else I got to ride bikes, and you learn how to be earth friendly with Ed Begley Jr. I mean, it was just crazy, all these people that I met, and just kind of spent the day with them. So it was a really fun show.
That sounds fun. You get the fun shows.
That's cool. Yeah, I was curious because Mallory and I have been training jiu-jitsu for the last 2 years, and I've just become like completely addicted. So
yeah. As soon as he heard you say the word grappling, yeah,
it's hard. I mean, we did the warm up. Josh had me do the warm up, and then I got to get in the cage with another fighter, and I have to say I was so sore for days, and then I had bruises on my body that I thought,
oh yeah,
wait a minute, where did these come from? Yep. I mean, he was like, okay, if you're gonna do this, we're gonna do this. He goes, I don't care TV or not. He goes, I'm gonna train you, and the warm up itself was insane.
Yeah.
So it's definitely it was a cool show because I got to experience a lot of different workouts that I was either scared of or intimidated by.
Totally.
So it was a fun show to kind of, just kind of experience different things. And I even got to do gymnastics with Antonio Sabata Jr. I had no idea he was a gymnast, and I got to train at this gym where it was this legit hardcore gymnastic gym. And I remember when I was a kid, I wanted to be an Olympic gymnast, but at 10 years old, I'm already like 5'6", so that wasn't going to happen. But it was kind of that was another workout that I literally could not walk the next day. My legs were just done. Like,
Yeah.
in much respect to all athletes out there, because it's tough. It's really tough on the body. So, but it was fun. It was definitely a fun show. But I would say my favorite segments were the food segments.
I believe that.
Because I was like, I kind of rather eat. And that's probably why I retired from modeling, because I just, food is just delicious.
Yeah.
And I just, it was one of those things, my turning point when I became pregnant with my son. I mean, I just went crazy. I was eating everything that I was not allowed to eat when I was modeling. I mean, from mac and cheese to meats. I mean, I was like a beef and potatoes girl. I just became one when I was pregnant. And I thought, you know what? After I have my son, I have to rethink the modeling. I probably modeled for another 2 years after I had him. And then it just changed, because I just like to eat.
Yeah.
It's, you see the world and everything differently. And I just did not want to stress about my weight or what size I was. I'm like, there's more important things like my son and being healthy.
Mm-hmm.
So I enjoy the food segments a lot. I'm like, I'll be a taste tester for anybody.
Totally.
So
Hopefully
I'm not
we
the
can,
best cook, but I will eat.
Hopefully we'll see you on the Food Network soon. That would be awesome.
That would be great. But I don't cook. But then again, I think, okay, I didn't know how to work on cars before overhauling.
Yeah.
So you never know. But I prefer being a taste tester. I will be a taste tester.
You could just be a judge on any show.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
We'll put it out in the atmosphere.
I like to say I'll have a good palate for food.
Good.
There's a crossover there with food trucks. You can jump right into that industry. Just
Yeah, there you
transition from
go.
cars to there and just try all the best food trucks.
Start
in the nation.
stealing
There you
food
go.
trucks and
Yeah.
making them better.
Yeah. Overhaul a food truck. Yeah.
Yeah, because food trucks are a big thing in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, yeah.
we've got some gourmet food trucks here. So, I will be more than happy to sample each and every food truck in Los Angeles.
There you go.
That'll be a great show.
That's awesome. So why did Overhaulin come back for another season?
I like to say it's the power of the people. The fans have been wanting the show to come back. And I know I would get lots of messages. Chris would get lots of messages. Chip would, bring the show back. And I would, I respond. It's me on social media. People always ask, is this really you? And I have to say, yes, it's me. I like to be in control of what's on my pages and what's being said. So I would always respond and said, hey, if you really want the show back, please, send messages to the network. And I think with the popularity of a lot of older shows kind of coming back and, coming back for a new season, I think Discovery Network was like, you know what? People want the show back. They love the show. So let's bring it back. So they asked Chip first, and he said absolutely, but he wouldn't do it without Chris or myself. So then they asked Chris, because, Chris doesn't have a contract with Discovery already, and he said absolutely. And then when they asked me, I was like, well, who's coming back? And they said, well, Chip said yes and Chris said yes. I'm like, well, it's a no-brainer.
Sold. Yeah.
Yes, count me in.
As far as how real this was, you guys did do, at least for the older shows, that actually happened in 7 days. You guys did that in 7 days. It wasn't one of the ones like, some of the other shows where they make it look like 7 days, but it's a 3-month build, because that's just the caliber of work that Chip and that team puts out to do all that in a week. And that, the drama of the show, like, hey, we got this car, we sent it to sandblasting, and then like half the car didn't come back. Now we've got to spend an extra day on the bodywork. Just watching that and then trying to put this thing all together and wire it and plumb it before the end of the week. That's just mad props. I'm a total gearhead, and I don't even watch TV it much anymore. It's just kind of go home, and in my garage, that's my place. So to see that happening, I'm like, well, I would have taken about 5 years to do all that. So.
Yeah, no, I think back to what we used to do on the show, and we did not get a lot of sleep or rest because it was just moving parts like for 7 days solid, where the newer episodes, we do the car. It takes, depending on the car and parts, and the accessibility of the parts, I would say anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks. So we get a little bit more time, a little bit more rest, and sleep, especially Chip, because he still has his shop and he's got other projects that he needs to get done. So they gave us a little more time between, for each episode, but even 3 weeks.
I was going to say, even still... 3 is like a blink of an eye in a build like that. So
Exactly.
Did you have a favorite out of all the cars that we've seen go across that show? Did you have a favorite that you personally liked, or maybe a favorite car, or maybe a favorite mark, or a favorite story that a mark had?
Yes, I definitely have a favorite car and favorite episode, which are the same. And that's the episode where Chip and I traded places, where Chip became the co-host
Okay.
and I became the lead designer. And the way that came about was we were just kind of joking around, and Chip was like, "Oh, I could be a co-host. Your job is easy. I have the hard
Okay.
job." And I was like, "Oh, really?" I go, "Okay, Chip, can you read a teleprompter? Can you, do stand-ups and kind of report on the car?" He goes, "Oh, yeah, I could totally do that." I was like, "Okay, well, then I could totally design a car." So production heard that. They're like, "Okay, let's do a Trading Spaces episode." There'll be an episode where Chris becomes the designer, Chip becomes my co-host, and then I become the designer, and then Chris and Chip were the hosts.
Mm-hmm.
So the episode where I became the designer, it was for a 63 Mercury Comet for a young girl at the time. I think she was about 20. And after we sent that car to Media Blast, it came back. It was in the worst condition.
Mm-hmm.
We nicknamed it Frankencar because it had holes in it. It was completely rusted out. You could tell, whoever did the work before it kind of patched, just it was horrible metal work. And I thought, wow, out of all the cars, this is the car I get. Not only and at the time too, I was still trying to prove myself on the show. So it was almost like this was kind of like my final exam. Like, let's see how much I've learned and how much Chip and the A-Team have taught me. And so there was I put a lot of pressure on myself for this particular episode because I already had been on the show for about a year. And I felt like this was a turning point on my in my automotive career, not just on the show, but also for the audience. And what happened was at the end of the episode, I had to walk around with Chip and show what I did to the car, why I did it, the paint colors, interior, exterior. So when we came to the rear of the car, I looked at it, and Chip and the A-Team made a plate that said AJ Designs.
Oh, wow.
And
It's cute.
he said, "Congratulations." He goes, "You did an amazing job. Welcome to the family." And I just cried. And I think from that point, that was the only time I've cried on Overhaulin', by the way. I mean, I keep it together, but that to me just was like, okay, I passed. I think I'm accepted now. I think I can do this.
That's
And
when you made it.
from that point on, yeah, I think not only the audience accepted me, but also Chip and the A-Team. It's like, okay, you earned your place in this shop. It's like, okay, let's get to work now. And that
Got your
honestly
stripes.
was big. Yeah, I earned my stripes.
That's awesome.
So it was a great moment. I mean, honestly, it's like I do not cry on this show. I see other grown men cry, but that was the one time that the emotions came out, and because it meant a lot to me. There was a lot behind that plate. Just meant everything to me.
Did you pick out the colors for the paint job for the Comet?
Oh yeah, that Comet was all me. I mean, because I met with the insider, and which is her mom, and she told me at the time, what she wanted, and just the whole color scheme, the interior from the emblems, all that was all me. I mean, Chip, of course, was there to guide me.
Yeah.
And he did the rendering because I cannot draw.
I was going to ask if you did the rendering, because his artwork with those is yeah.
I tried. My drawing skills are just as good as my singing skills. So, so he did the actual rendering, but it was all me. It's like he was there to guide me, but I made all the decisions as far as, what went on that car. And I think you can watch that moment where Chip gives me the plate on YouTube. And it's still, I actually watched it the other day. I was like, wow, it still gets me because it's just, it really, really meant a lot to me what him and the guys did for me. So, but no, that episode is one of my favorites just because I had a lot of work to do on that car and a lot to prove.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it sounds like you did it. You did the job.
Yes, yes.
So what can you tell us about this new season of Overhaulin'?
Well, this new season of Overhaulin' is on Motor Trend On Demand, so you could stream all new episodes and past episodes. So if you kind of want to binge watch Overhaulin', you have to get the Motor Trend app. And we're doing newer cars too on this season. We still have some older cars, but we also have some newer cars because, we want to bring in a newer, younger audience as well. And also to something that's a little bit more attainable for the viewer, because we've done a couple of newer Mustang, early 2000 truck. So it's kind of neat to see what Chip does to newer models just to kind of give it that cool edge to it. And the pranks have been stepped up. There's been an episode where Chris and Chip get prosthetics to make them into old men.
Yes,
So it was
I
like
love that.
Overhaulin 2050. So that was fun. And then there was an episode, I think it's going to go down in Overhaulin prank history, where Chris actually gets knocked out by the person we were pranking.
Oh, wow.
I mean, he really pushed his button. Yeah.
Oh.
So pranks have been stepped up, and, we're doing a little bit newer cars. I'm in the paint booth more. I found my happy place. And I just love being in that paint booth, priming and spraying color. And hopefully soon I will graduate to spraying clear. So it's still a learning process. I'm still learning as I go.
Tons of props for that. I do not have the patience for body work.
That's the fun part.
I'm surprised someone hasn't gotten knocked out sooner, honestly,
Yeah.
after all those years.
Yeah, Chris has been pretty funny with his pranks. Like, I remember one, he was pretending to be a bum or something like that, and then ended up having an interaction with the guy and then stealing his car or something of the sort. But yeah, like I said, longtime fan. I love that show. Feels like I'm talking
But
to a
Chris
celebrity
is good
right
at it. He really knows how to press the buttons at the right moments. That's why he does the majority of the pranks. I mean, if there's a prank where, let's say they need me, okay, that's great. But Chris, that's kind of like his thing. Just like being in the paint booth is my thing, and I think that's why it all works with all of us, because we kind of have our niche on the show. And it's just, we just work well together. We have such a great working relationship, and Chris is like a brother to me, and so is Chip, and we play jokes on each other, and we don't step on each other's toes. It's like I said, Chris likes to do pranks. I love being in the paint booth. Chip is great at creating. So we all have our job, and it's just fun to work together.
What do you think? What do you think your toughest or greatest achievement, like in your professional or personal career, has been up to this point?
Oh gosh. Wow. I mean, it's one of those things that if someone were to have told me when I was a teenager, here I am about to join the Air Force, that I would be on this automotive show, rebuilding cars and being in a paint booth, I would have been like, are you guys on crack? Like, what are you talking about? I just feel grateful because every stage of my career, from, let's say, modeling, I land the Fanta commercial. That was a great opportunity and a turning point, which led into Overhaulin. I never thought I would even know how to test fit an engine and transmission. So that has been an accomplishment. And honestly, I mean, for 15 years to be in an industry that I had to work hard for and now accepted, I would say Overhaulin has been great. And honestly, that has been a great achievement because, as a woman, auto body work and just being in a shop is intimidating. So to come in and conquer that, and still, like I said, I'm still learning, that I would say is my greatest achievement career-wise, just because it's an industry I never thought I would venture into, and here I am now 15 years later, and it's been so good to me. So, and then on a personal note, I know it's going to sound sappy, but I'm a proud mama, and my son is just the greatest little guy. It's really fun and neat watching the world through his eyes, and I bring him with me on set sometimes, and Chip always, has him, because he just turned 10, so now he can kind of help out behind the scenes, and Chip will be like, okay, you know what, help me grab this bumper, or help me, take this off. So he's kind of, learning as he goes, and he loves off-roading and trophy trucks and loves going to the off-road expo. So I think he's kind of catching the car bug, and it's just really fun to be able to share what I've been learning with him. So that just makes it that much better.
That is so fun.
Getting him started early.
Yeah.
Yep.
On your, I mean, we're checking out your Instagram, and I think on the title or on the
bio,
it says you're a certified dork. What's the
Yes,
how
I
did you
am.
how did you get that certification?
Yeah, we want to know what
Yeah.
that means.
Well, it's funny because it kind of happened in acting class, and I don't know. I just like making people laugh, and even at my expense. And the 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 scenes that I loved the most were comedy, where either I was clumsy, but not on purpose. Like I'm just naturally clumsy, and it just somehow would always work its way into the scene, and people would just bust up laughing. Whether I would walk into a scene, it's supposed to be a serious scene, and I trip. Or I remember one scene I did where I was supposed to come in, sit on the edge of the couch, but little did I know that the couch was kind of fake and it was just foam, so I completely fell.
Oh wow.
So I just feel like I'm just a dork, and I just learned that I love to make people laugh, and if Overhaulin goes away again, my next job I would love to do a comedy and just basically be myself.
Yeah.
I'm one of those people where, I don't care if my hair is messy. There's times where I don't wash my hair for days or my outfit doesn't match. It's like, oh, well, whatever. Like, I honestly don't care.
Yeah.
So if I can just kind of be myself and be my clumsy self and make people laugh on a comedy, then to me, that would be an awesome job. So that's kind of like next on my radar, because I think it's fun. I love being kind of dorky and silly, and and I think the best part is because I don't care. Who cares about being perfect? There is no such thing as perfect. So, I just want to make people laugh.
Would you ever consider doing a reality show of your own, like The World of AJ or something funny like that?
No, I'm not really meant for reality. I mean, there's been a lot of my friends that have done reality shows, and I've been on the shows with them, as a friend.
Mm-hmm.
But I think for reality, you have to put yourself out there, which includes your family, your home.
True.
And I'm not willing to open that door because, my son's very shy. And I don't know if he wants to be in this industry or not. So I don't think it's fair to him to put him in the spotlight if he doesn't want to. And also, too, when you open that door, you open the door for criticism.
Yeah.
So I'm not ready to open up my personal life to the world. To me, that's the one thing that I kind of protect. So, no, I would rather just stick to scripted and, just work with great writing and great directors and, work with other actors that just want to make a great show or movie. So, but reality TV, I don't think it's for me. And plus, I may be dorky and silly, but I'm also boring. Like, you're not going to find me drunk, on the sidewalk and,
Starting
doing
fights.
something.
Yeah.
No, that's just not me. Because I think with reality TV, you have to kind of be extreme with things.
Yeah.
And a little bit, it's more drama based because that's what ratings are good. That's what the ratings are. But I don't think reality TV is for me.
Absolutely. Do you have any role models in your life who have really influenced you and sort of, mentored you?
I don't have particular role model per se. I mean, as far as the automotive industry, there's a lot of builders I look up to that I've become friends with. So I just kind of look up to them and their work, and like I said, I ask questions. I mean, I would say there's different people in the industry, like in the modeling industry. There were a couple of models that I looked up to and actually have become friends with. It's crazy because, they were these supermodels in the 90s, and, now we're friends. And those are the women now that are also moms, and they're still working. In the automotive industry, like I said, I've met builders that I look up to. So, and I think each category of industry, there's a few that I just, kind of look up to and, just I admire because they're working moms or they're just parents, and they're, once the camera stops rolling, they're just normal people.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want to be. I like being normal and boring. That's the best way to describe me. It's like, when I'm not working, I'm a PTA mom. I pick up my son from school, take him to his basketball practice and, go to his games, prepare snacks for the kids. So yeah, I'm just a normal working mom.
That's awesome.
Do you have any other like projects or any other shows that are in the works that you want to talk about, that you can talk about, or?
Well, Battle of the Builders just aired on the History Channel, and I'm sure they'll repeat it. And I'll find out when the reruns are. I'll post that on my social media pages. And I'm still working on Overhaulin. We're trying to wrap up the season. And after Overhaulin, all three of us will probably take a much-needed break because we've been filming since July. So
Wow.
it's been crazy since then. And then, you know, in between all that, we had SEMA, and then I was filming Battle of the Builders, and then 2 weeks after SEMA, we all went to Saudi Arabia for their big car show there, and then, I mean, it's been a whirlwind of traveling and filming, so I just want to take a nice little break and hopefully tackle that comedy, so you could all see me being a dork.
Yes, yes. So where do we get your calendar?
So my garage calendar, and I always like to say it's oversized, so I made it bigger than the average desk calendar because it's meant to be for a garage or a shop. And I always like to add that it's wife and girlfriend friendly. So nothing racy or scandalous. I'm just in cool clothes with cool cars. And you can find it at ajcalendars.com.
Is your car in there? Is Diva in there?
Oh, of course, the Diva is for sure in it. She's in the month of August. I originally thought I wanted her to be on the cover.
Yeah.
But once I actually shot, one of the cars is almost like a bullet Mustang. And when I saw the picture, I thought, wow, this represents me. I'm smiling. You know, there's a little bit of wind through my hair, and there's this cool car. I'm in cool just shorts and a T-shirt and a pair of boots. And that I felt represented me and what the calendar is about. Like the Diva's not on the cover, but she's still definitely in the calendar. She definitely has her own month.
Well, I think you paid enough respect to her and just putting her in it. So I think she'll be okay with it.
Oh, yes, definitely okay with it.
I heard too that you actually sign each one. Is that true?
Yes. So there's two different options when you go to the website. If you get just like the regular signed calendar, I do sign it. So it's just an autograph inside. And also I signed the inside. There's a bonus poster where you can just pull it out when you're done with those months. And I signed that one too. And then there's another option to have it personalized. And you just put down what you want me to say as long as it's respectful. And I've had a lot of fun personalized comments. I mean, there's a lot of funny people out there, and I've had a lot of fun with a lot of the personalized calendars. So, but I sign each and every one of them. So you might see my fingerprints on them and my signature. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, but it was a fun calendar.
Do you like set aside a few hours a day to do that, or
how many Sharpies have you burned through this year?
Oh gosh, well, I go in every week to sign a new batch of orders.
Oh, cool.
So I definitely set aside time every week to do that. I'm actually going in a few days to sign my next batch of orders. So it's been great. Like I said, I'm grateful. I will sit there and sign all day. I mean, just the fact that people are ordering my calendar has been pretty awesome. So it's been fun to sign.
How much longer do you think they'll be available for?
You know, I'm doing car show circuits now. So a lot of car shows are doing is they'll buy like 500 calendars at a time, and then at the car show we'll do a giveaway. So I'm basically going to sell them until I run out. So I would say maybe I'll probably sell out in March.
Gotcha.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, so they won't be available too much longer. I mean, what I ordered is what I'm going to sell, and after that, that's it. So
cool.
It's been great.
So how do people get in touch with you? And
yeah, so on social media, I'm on Instagram, which is at Adrienne Janik. I'm also on Twitter, also at Adrienne Janik. And then on Facebook, it's Adrienne AJ Janik. And it's all me. So if you get a response or a like or a message, it's 100% me.
You are making people's day. Every single like you click, people are just winning. That's awesome.
And I try and answer messages. I mean, some of the DMs, I do my best to answer a lot of them, you know, when I have the time. And then, you know, there's some weird messages too, which I don't answer because they're just a little out there and a little disrespectful. But the nice ones I definitely respond to.
That's awesome. That's so nice to have someone, you know, you're on a show, you're working really hard and you're still taking the time to not only hand sign your calendars, but you're messaging people and interacting. And I think that's really, really awesome.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's important to do because I always say without the audience and the fans, the show is nothing. And you know, that's the least I could do. It's like, hey, this is my way of saying thank you for their time to watch the show and making it a hit. Because without the audience, we're nothing.
Just a random question about your mom life here is someone who's in the automotive industry. What do you daily drive? What does somebody who's exposed to that much car industry pick as their mom car?
Oh gosh, my mom car. Okay, so when I first had my son, I had this big behemoth of a car, which was the Lincoln Navigator.
Okay.
I mean, it just was a big car, but plenty of room, for the stroller and all the baby gear, car seats in the middle. And I actually had that car for 10 years. I mean, Lincoln Navigator, honestly, hands down, great car, never had any issues. But after a while, I was like, wow, this is a really big car. And in Los Angeles, there's a lot of driving. I mean, I was spending a lot of money on gas. I would say at least $100 a week.
Wow.
So, I don't have baby gear anymore. My son's 10. So I wanted to downsize to a mid-size SUV because I love SUVs. I mean, it's important to have a good, strong car. So just this last summer for my birthday, I bought myself a Mercedes GLE 350. Simple mom car. And I'm gonna get wheels. I gotta spice it up because I don't want it to be too boring. And so I'm gonna get the wheels. I'm gonna get my windows tinted. So that's my daily driver for like a mom car. But my fun car, I actually have an Audi R8.
That's what I was hoping you were going to say. It was your mom car.
That's awesome.
So that's my fun car, and of course I have my '68 Firebird. And it's funny because my son every now and then he'll be like, "Mama, can you pick me up with the R8?" Or "Mama, can we drive the Firebird?" Like he just loves it. So I love that he loves cars and we like to mix it up a little bit.
And luckily being in Southern California, you said he's into off-roading, that is the mecca for all of the desert races down at, Lucerne and Barstow and, just some great areas down there. I'm up here in the land of rock crawlers and I build a lot of desert trucks and haven't had the pleasure of taking any of them down to Southern California, but been on other trips and that's just, a lot of beautiful country out there. So
I've rock crawled before, and I thought I was going to die.
Where did you go? Do you remember where you went?
Oh my gosh, I did the show, the special for CBS Sports, and they hired me to be the host of this special. And basically, it was about going all over the United States and trying different types of racing.
Okay.
So I got to drift. I got to drift with Samuel Hubinette, who's known as the Crazy Swede. And I loved it. This is my first time in a drifting car, and I didn't realize how much went on inside the car to drift. And here we are drifting and sliding at 80 miles an hour, like inches from the wall. And I thought, wow, this is cool. I love this. And I got to do some rally racing with John Buffum. That one was a little, I was a little nervous. I was like, because there's trees around, but, he handled the car pretty well. And then I rock crawled, and I don't remember his name. Was it Terry or I forgot his name? And we were in the South. I want to say maybe Virginia or I don't remember because this was like over 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. And we were going just rock crawling and I told him to stop because I thought I was going to have a panic attack. I thought, you stop. He's like, why, what's wrong? I go, I feel like we're going to flip over and this thing is going to just turn over and I'm just going to die on a rock.
What kind of vehicle were you in?
It was a Jeep.
Okay.
Jeep. I mean, obviously he had the suspension and everything meant to rock crawl, but we were going so slow. And I don't know, I was fine drifting at 80 miles an hour, inches from a wall, but going 3 miles an hour, rock crawling, I don't know what it was. And I told production, I go, I can't do this. I go, can I just have one diva moment and not do this? And they're like, I go, I need to walk back. They're like, but base camp's like 2 miles away. I'm like, I don't care. I can't do this. So I was walking down where we crawled up on the rocks and I slipped and I fell, and I was like, I'm fine. I just thought the guy co-hosting with me, he was great. He goes, I'll do it. I mean, it's definitely interesting. It's a whole nother ball game of how to control the vehicle to rock crawl. I mean, that's a lot of precision and skill. I mean, I was blown away, but yet scared out of my mind.
That's like this. So that King of the Hammers race is a mix of that same rock crawling, but then going 80 to 100 miles an hour across the desert as well. So it's a pretty intense
I won't
race.
sit that one out.
Yeah.
I'll sit that one out.
I wonder if you didn't mind the drifting because it's going so fast and you don't have a lot of time to make choices and you're just kind of in the moment. But rock crawling, you're going so slowly getting vertical that you have so much time and it's just like tick, 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 tick. And then you're like, wait a minute.
That's what it is.
Yeah, it's a very
because drifting
slow.
so fast.
Yeah.
And it happens so fast. You burn through the tires so fast. And I was like, oh, that was it. Where rock crawling is like, whoa, okay. Way too much time to think about what can happen if you make the wrong turn.
Yes.
So
it just feels
I think
so
that's
like,
what freaked me out.
Yeah, it just feels so like concerning. Like look, when you first go, you're like completely sideways and all you see is the ground. And you're like, this is not normal. This is not supposed to be this way. Yeah. But then also that's what makes people so addicted to it too, because it's like that little adrenaline rush and
Yeah, it's like if I stick my arm out, I could literally touch the ground. But I want to keep my arms in because I want my arm.
Yeah, 1,000%. Exactly. That's totally true.
Yes.
Well, this has been really awesome. I want to thank you for taking the time to talk to us today, and we can't wait to watch the newest season of Overhaulin'.
Yeah, no, you see new season Overhaulin' on the Motor Trend app, and it's great. I mean, I hope the audience loves what we're doing this new season, and it's been fun. We always say we got the band back together, and it's like no time has passed with the three of us in the A-team, so it's been fun.
Cool. Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate you calling in today.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we look forward to watching you.
All right. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks.
Thank you, Jay. Have a great day.
So we want to let our listeners know they can get 10% off all their Rough Stuff orders using coupon code Rough Stuff Podcast. And also, if you have any questions, comments, suggestions, we would love to hear them. So please send us an email, podcast@roughstuffspecialties.com.